All right, Brian, are we ready to get kicked off here? Shall I get started? Okay.
We're ready to go.
Awesome. So hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's webinar is all about automating your Tardy process in PowerSchool using our front office Tardy management plugin. I'm Tina. I'm going to be your host and your tour guide today. And this is Brian. Brian is going to make sure that this webinar runs smoothly. He's also going to be handling the chat with your questions that I hope you keep coming in during this call today, this meeting today. And he's also got a really important job, which is to keep me on track. Sometimes I meander down a lane and I need to be reeled back in. So all those are things that Brian will be doing today. Which brings me to the flow of today's webinar. In the past, we've handled questions and answers at the end of the demonstration. I want to change that up today because I'd like it to be a little bit more interactive. So if during the webinar, when I am demonstrating the plugin and its use and its functions and features, if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand, put it in the chat. Brian will tell me to pause and we'll address your question at the juncture of the demonstration where where it pertains, right? So we can get right into the details of what you're asking in the moment. Brian, what did I forget here?
I think we're good.
We're good? All right, so we're good? Okay, so let's get started. There's a variety of reasons why each of you have joined this meeting today, but I think there's one thing that everybody here has in common, and you're looking for a more efficient way to handle your Tardy process. And you're ready to toss out that time-intensive manual effort that you have right now and replace it with a more automated process. And that's where identiMetrics can help you. Our front office Tardy management plugin is designed to do just that. Automate all of your manual processes that are associated with your front office attendance needs. Automate that hall pass. Automate the attendance being recorded to the student's record. The Tardy counts, helping you manage those so you can keep on top of those students that may need a little bit of early intervention to guide them down a better road. So another neat thing that we do here, which is a new addition to the plugin, is automating the meeting time entry to the student's meeting record. So I'm super excited about that and can't wait to show you. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here with you and bring you over to there we go. Okay, cool. So today I'm going to show you two different uses of our plugin in two different schools. And I have my schools, my schools on my PowerSchool test server configured. I've configured the plugin based on how that school is required to record attendance. So here, let's get started in Apple Grove High School. I've configured the plugin for this particular school to record attendance to the period on the student's bell schedule that aligns with the time that they scan into the building, okay? So let's see how that works. PowerSchool, I have PowerSchool up here. I happen to be using the new user interface. Some of you might be still using the standard user interface. No worries, the plugin is going to work regardless of the UI that you've chosen to use, currently. So the plugin creates a page in PowerSchool that needs to be open so you can record your attendance. And let's take you over there right now. I'm going to use the left navigation bar and I'm going to select a meeting attendance link. Remember, as I mentioned here, this school is configured in PowerSchool to record meeting attendance. And therefore, I have my plugin configured to record to the student's meeting record as opposed to the daily. There is a link here on the meeting attendance page within PowerSchool that is going to bring us to the page that needs to be open to record attendance. And here we are. So this particular page is broken up into two sections. A top section, which gives some information. Some of it's configurable, some of it's hard-coded. And there's a lower section here below this blue-gray line that's going to list our attendance activity for the day. So let's talk about that top half. The top half has a date and a timestamp. It's going to be a timestamp that's local to your district, to the time zone that your district is in. I have a meeting attendance code here. You'll notice that I have something that's populated. I've chosen this code in my plugin configuration as my default. However, if I want to change something on the fly, I can navigate away from my default code, and I can use my drop down to select a different code for a scan event based on the attendance bank that I already have built in PowerSchool. So again, you can use the code that you have pre-configured as your default, or you can use a drop down and navigate and select a different one. I have a configurable hall pass option. Maybe I want a hall pass with a code, maybe I don't. Again, choose a default and change it if you need to on the fly. An attendance comment, this is where you can write a message, a note that needs to be appended to that student's attendance record in the comment field. We will always, if you have added a comment, if a comment has been added independently of using our plugin page, we will not overwrite any comment that exists in a student's comment field. We will append, we will not overwrite that code. And then we come down to this next field where it says scan finger to continue. This is where the plugin is waiting for an ID entry. You have a couple of options when it comes to ID entry for your students. And let me swing this little box over here. One of the options that you have for ID entry is using our ID management system, our biometric finger scan system. This is one of the options that you can use to enter student ID information to record attendance. Another option would be using an ID card, right? A barcode scanner and an ID card. With an ID card that you can scan that ID card and that number can get populated into the field here that says scan finger to continue. So that's option number 2. Option number 3, use a pin pad. Think what some schools are using in the cafeteria. If you're not using a biometric finger scan in the cafeteria, then sometimes you'll see a pin pad down there. You can attach a pin pad to your scan station and the students can type their number in. And a fourth option would just be manual entry on a keyboard, right? Depending upon how your school is set up. So 4 ways that you can enter ID information directly into the plugin. And then once that ID is entered in here, the bottom half is you're going to record and display the information for that particular student. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. I'll show you using the finger scan to enter the ID, and then I'm going to show you another way, which would be manual entry. So let me show you start to show you with the finger scan, and I want to show you how quickly everything works here. I have my little finger scanner. It's attached to my Windows laptop, and I'm going to use this to enter the ID information on the first time around here. So pay close attention because this happens pretty quickly. So I'm going to place my finger on the scanner. My ID number was sent directly into this, what we call the scan page. And what happens here that we see automatically is a hall pass. Just so you know, already on the meeting side, an attendance code has been recorded, a meeting time entry has been recorded, and a comment has been appended with the scan time as well. So that's already happened in the background. But what you see right here is the hall pass. Let's take a look a little closer. Bring this in here. Is that big enough, Brian? Ah, too big. Okay, so this hall pass has some configurable options, and then it has some options that are just hard-coded into the plugin. But let's take a look at this and break it down. We have a date and a timestamp. Again, it's going to be a time that is local to your district's time zone. I have my student's name. I have the class that is on Alyssa's bell schedule at the time of her scan. The code and the status that are displaying are the code and the is the code that was chosen on the scan page, and then the status that's associated in my attendance bank with that code. I also have a total tardy count. This is Alyssa's 7th tardy. And just below that, what you see is a message that I have created to align with tardy number 7. You will be able to create your own message that aligns with a tardy threshold that's been reached. All right. So I'm going to bring that out and we're going to go back to the scan page. And here we are ready for the next student to scan. I'm going to put in another number here and I'm going to do it with manual entry. And actually, I'm going to change the code on this too. So we're going to scan using a different code. I have another student that comes in. She's brought a note in. She's going to be a tardy excused. So now I'm going to select a different code. I'm going to enter her number so you can see it's going to work exactly the same. I'm going to return it or I'm going to hit submit. Here's my friend, Jamie Anderson. Her hall pass looks a little different. Because it's excused, I'm not counting this tardy against her. And you in your district can determine whether or not you want a code to add to a student's total tardy count. So in this demonstration, in this example, this hall pass does not show a message. It does not show a tardy count because Jamie has not accumulated one for this particular scan session. So we have a date and a timestamp, a name, Jamie's class on the bell schedule at the time she scanned into the building. Again, code and status is how I have that assigned in PowerSchool, and a scan time configurable. You can have a scan time. Again, it gets real granular. You see we have seconds on there and the top one does not, but you can choose to have that additional timestamp on there or not, take it off, depending upon how much real estate you have on your hall pass. And then we're back. So notice down here on my display, I have both of my students here, Jamie and Alyssa, the last 2 scans that I've just done. Okay, before I move over into their attendance record, I'm going to pause, wondering if there are any questions up to this point that I can answer or clarify or discuss further. Anything? Brian, can I move on?
Yeah, nothing at the moment. We can move
Nothing
on.
at the moment. Awesome. Okay, so now what I want to do is we're gonna go back and take a look at each of their attendance records. So let's first look at Alyssa's record. I am going to go and I'm going to pull it up this way. Let's take a look at how Alyssa's record was recorded. Tardy kids, I'm going to go to Alyssa Barlow. And I'm going to take a look. I always like this view. I think it brings a lot of clarity. Okay. Awesome. All right, so let's go down here. And here we are. This is where Alyssa's a tardy unexcused attendance record has been recorded. Take a look. It went right from that scan page. That was the one we had chosen. And it wrote to the class on the bell schedule at the time that she came into the building. As I mentioned, the second scan shows a comment. She scanned in once earlier today, but this afternoon she scanned in at 1:08, and that was the time that is associated with her scan time in the building. Something else that's real neat here. The clock in has been appended. That meeting time entry, if you are using this functionality in PowerSchool, and if you have enabled the clock in and clock out attendance preference, that scan will automatically write and append a value to the meeting time entry. What this does then with that automatic recording is it automatically adjusts the total minutes of instructional time. Wow, right? Wow. I mean, this is something that takes so many clicks in order to add, and we've automated that whole process for you. I'm super excited about this. As you can tell, this is really something that will help you streamline that whole process without having to do multiple clicks and have a stopwatch and a time and get all of that stuff situated. It is instantaneous. Meeting time entries appended using our front office tardy plugin management. Okay, that was Alyssa's record. Let's take a look and go back to the other record, which is our Jamie Anderson. So let's take a look at Jamie's record, and I want to show you something a little bit different. We chose a different code for Jamie, if you remember. We chose that tardy excused. And if we take a look at Jamie's record, what I expect to see on her bell schedule for that particular meeting is a tardy excused. And there it is. In the comment, we see the timestamp that's associated with the time that Jamie scanned into the building. Now, what you'll notice here is this particular code was not defined to write the meeting time entry, which is why you do not see the little clock in section appended or added to. And when we go back into the configuration settings, this will make a little bit more sense, but basically it's this. You're going to define what code is going to have a meeting time entry associated with it. So something good for you to know, and I'll show you that in a little bit more detail once I get back to the main demonstration here. Okay. So again, tardy excused, that was assigned to Jamie's based on the time she scanned in for the class on her bell schedule that's associated with that scan time. Okay, so anybody wondering about early dismissal, right? How do we handle early dismissals, and can they be handled? Well, the answer is yes. This is a tardy management system, but it will also let you manage your early outs, your early dismissals. Let me show you how that looks. So we're going to use the same scan page, left navigation bar. I've chosen my attendance option. Meeting attendance is going to open up my meeting page. And then from there, I have a nice little link that brings me to the scan page where all of my attendance recording activity needs to happen. So let's take a look at a student. Let's say, for example, it's Alyssa. Alyssa's come into school. She came in a little bit late. She's not feeling so well. So now we want to go ahead and she's going to leave class and she wants to go home. She's going to be sick today. So I'm going to change my code to an early out code. And I'm going to scan, I'll use my finger scan here because that's who I am. I'm going to early out Alyssa, scan my finger. Let's show you what happens here for an early out or an early dismissal. Again, early dismissal. I don't need to have any tardy comments because this isn't a tardy, this is an early out. Again, a configurable option. I have a hall pass printed because Alyssa's going to carry that out of the building. You don't have to, but it's a nice option. You're going to tell what attendance code will print a hall pass. Now, let's see what happened in Alyssa's record and how that wrote. Go over to my, I can go from here to bring that up a little easier. I'm going to go into this view because it's an easy view to look at. And you'll notice here, now she's an early out from class. Let me open up this scan time. We've now clocked her out. So meeting time entry has been appended where enabled for students that are either clocking in or clocking out during the course of the day. You can have multiple clock in and clock out entries for each period and every period on the bell schedule that is used with our plugin scanning system, with our plugin system, right? With our plugin tardy management. Again, the great thing about this meeting time entry being automated is you do not have all the clicks, you have the accuracy, and you have the efficiency and streamlining that whole process. In addition, your minutes are 100% accurate. Real instructional time. Okay, how about any questions on what I just showed you there in terms of how things are recording? Any questions, Brian?
Nothing yet.
Nothing? Okay,
Anyone
cool.
has any questions, please put them in the chat or the question and answer box.
Yeah. Okay, good. So hopefully I'm explaining this well. All right, let's go back. I want to go back to the scan page. And I want to show you a couple of other features here. Let me move this box out of the way here. Okay, so here we are. We're back on the scan page. Again, students are going to scan with one of those 4 options for ID entry. We have a hall pass that's optionally generated, always automatically, but optional with the code. We have our list of students down here and the attendance activity for the day. And all of our attendance recording is happening in the background without any additional clicks. The whole process, about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, right? The whole process is going to run for you. Quite a bit different probably from what you're managing now. There's another great feature that I want to show you that's associated with our plugin, and it's here on this link. Let's go over there and I'll take a look a little closer about this particular functionality. On this page, it allows us to see cumulative attendance activity. And it allows you to grab information, historical and cumulative information about your students and your attendance activity all in one place. So on this page, there's a basic filter that is just part of the PowerSchool student information system. If I choose my drop down here, what you'll see that opens up is a whole bunch of other filtering options. This allows you to search on data and pull it up right at the tip of your fingers without having to go back into PowerSchool and run specific reports. For example, maybe what you want to do is you want to decide how many tardy unexcused students you have that have reached a level of 4. Why? Because Mr. Smith needs that information. Mr. Smith needs it because tardy number 6 is a detention. So he wants to get all those tardy number 4s and have a sit down with them to help put them on the right path. Early intervention style, right? You want to make sure that you're tracking these kids. And this is an easy way to get to that data. So if I apply that, what you'll see is there they are. All my kids here that have a tardy unexcused that have reached number 4 threshold. I can grab that data, print it off, email it off to whoever needs to see it, Mr. Smith in this case, and he's going to go ahead and have a nice, sit down with these kids to get them moved in the right direction. Maybe you're concerned about a particular student. So let me clear this and open this up. Maybe you want to find out a little bit more information about a student with the last name of Anderson. Oh, you didn't remember the last name. Oh, I'm going to pull up my Andersons and oh, here it is. I want to find out about John Anderson. Well, here's my information about John Anderson, and I can get a nice look and actually, if I do this, I'm going to open this up a little bit better so that you can see it. Now I know who it is, and now I have some cumulative information about John, and I can see some attendance activity for this particular student. So you can switch and sort the filtering options on this page as they pertain to the data that you're trying to review. Again, we're writing directly to PowerSchool. This information here is available within the PowerSchool reports that you could generate. But this page, this activity page, allows you to get to it in a very easy fashion and pull the data that you're looking for quickly to get it off to anybody on your attendance team that needs it. And again, I'll go back here and remind you that the way that you get to that option is right here by this quick link. Okay, so that's the functionality. Go
Let's
ahead.
hold right there for a second. Looks like Karen has a question.
Great,
Give her just
great.
a second to
Yeah,
enter it here.
sure. And while Karen's typing that in, what I'll let everybody know that the next thing we're going to do is go behind the scenes so I can show you how easy it is to set this plugin up. Okay.
I can allow Karen to talk.
Yeah, sure, whatever is easiest. Hi, Karen. It's not me. Oh, I wonder if you're able to or not able to. Oh, there.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, Karen. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I don't have a question, but the chat is disabled. So
Oh,
in the event that I had a question, I'm not able to type anything in. I just wanted you to know that.
thank you,
Okay,
Karen.
thanks, Karen.
Okay.
We good now, Brian? We got that opened up?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So now, does anybody have any questions maybe from any of the previous screens that I was sharing or the pages I was sharing about the plugin? Looks like there's one. What do you think, Brian?
I assume that it's opened up now.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
there
see
we
some
go.
things coming in. Yep.
Yep. Ashley says, does the system need an update each year?
Does the system? No, it doesn't. I'm assuming you mean the plugin. Does the plugin need an update each year? No, it doesn't. It's designed to work with most of the PowerSchool versions. You do update PowerSchool, and our plugin would not necessarily need to be updated when PowerSchool gets updated from year to year. It's just when we have new features, when we have different functionality, we are going to let you know that an update is available. Did good?
I think that answers the question.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And there's another question here. Does the hall pass print out automatically?
So the hall pass can print out automatically. Absolutely. That is not a function of the plugin. So I just want to be clear here. It's a function of the browser. Most of you using PowerSchool, I expect, have the Chrome browser as your default. So you can put your browser in kiosk mode, and then that will auto print the pass. We have a couple of cheat sheets that help guide you through setting up your browser in kiosk mode that we would be happy to share with you. Great questions.
All right, thanks. I think we can move on here.
Okay. Any more questions? No, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, yes, now there's a follow-up. Does it print a full sheet of paper?
So here's it can, right? We do not have any requirements for the printer that is used for your hall passes. That being said, most districts use a thermal printer so that you're printing it out on a smaller, portion of paper, and the thermal printer is just fine. So you can have any option that you want, a big piece or a thermal printer, whatever printer that you have on your network. We good?
I think we're good.
All right. Hopefully that answers your questions. Oh, and by the way, we do have a most popular printer that districts have shared with us, the one that they're using, and we would be happy to share that thermal printer option with you. Okay, so we've gone through the demonstration. We see how everything, how this is all automated and how it's recording directly to the student's record, including the meeting time entries where you have set your code. So let's go behind the scenes so I can show you how everything is set up. I'm gonna bring you over here. So you can kind of see left nav bar. I'm choosing my option under attendance and my quick link to get to a configuration page for our plugin. Again, once the plugin is installed and enabled, these pages become available to you. This configuration page is set up into 3 different sections: a main settings area, a print slip settings section, and our preset tardy comments. So let's look a little bit closer at each one of these. At the main settings, the first thing that you want to determine for your school is the way that you're going to record attendance using the plugin. So each school needs to choose a lane. A school is going to determine whether or not they want the plugin to send attendance codes and data to the student's meeting record, or if that school wants to send information about attendance data, attendance codes and entries to the daily record. You choose one or the other. So the plugin is installed at the district level. All schools that are licensed to use the plugin will then have a meeting configuration option, and you can have a blend of them, right? Your elementary schools might be choosing daily, while your secondaries might be choosing a meeting style. And then you'll select a default attendance code. This is the code that's going to appear on that scan page by default. Again, it can be changed on the fly where necessary, but you can choose a default attendance code. The rest of these options here are all about how you want that scan page to look and work for you. Do you want to return to the default you've chosen after each scan with a toggle yes or no? Do you want to default to a hall pass being printed as a global setting? Yes or no? You determine what identifier is being used for your student, student number or student ID. Again, you decide what your school is using. Total tardy count period, you can go ahead and accumulate tardies for the course of the entire school year, or you can choose to reset them based on the way that your terms are set up in PowerSchool. I happen to be set up in semesters, so that's why you see S1, S2. Yours might look a little bit different, right? Depending upon how you're set up for your terms. Do I want to include the scan time in the attendance comment? It defaults to yes. I like to leave that on, but if it's too much information that is on the hall pass, you can go ahead and turn that off. Use the clock in and clock out functionality. Again, this is going to be selected if you are a meeting recording attendance school that wants the meeting time entries recorded, or if you're a daily attendance school that wants the clock in and clock out fields appended automatically. Okay, so you're going to choose whether or not you want this functionality to be used with the plugin. And then the scanning page. These are all HTML pages, so sometimes you don't want to display all the attendance activity for the day. Here's where you're going to determine the number of records that you want to see on that scan page as a display. Remember, that activity recording page, the one with the link with the cumulative history, that's where you can go back and do a further explore. So my recommendation, you don't bog that scan page down. Go ahead and use only what you want to see from the last selection, but use the activity recording page, that activity attendance activity page to really go ahead and sort your data. So that's our main settings. Print slip settings. This is all about how you want your hall pass to look. Okay, so you can turn things on or off depending upon how much space that you want to use. And then down here are our preset tardy comments. This is where you get to assign a message, a comment, a statement, a consequence, whatever it is that you want to share with your students based on the tardy threshold that's been reached. These just happen to be mine that I've created for this demonstration. But when you get the plugin and it's installed, it comes blank, and you're going to fill in your message that's appropriate for the tardy threshold that's been reached. Once you've gone ahead and created these selections and you've gone ahead and configured as you wish, you'd submit, and the main settings area is done. I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. Okay, so let's go back, and now let's go and take a look at the second area that requires configuration. And there's only 2 configuration locations for our plugin. The next area that we need to configure for use with the plugin are our attendance codes. So now we're going to set up our attendance codes that will align with the behavior that we want them to display when used with the plugin. So I've gone into my attendance codes in PowerSchool proper, and here is my bank that has already been created with my PowerSchool when PowerSchool was set up. Let's open up this one. I use this particular code, so let's see how this one is set up. Every attendance code in your bank will be appended with this set of options once the plugin is installed and enabled. If you're not using a code with our plugin, then all of these are disabled when the plugin gets installed and enabled. But you will see the selection for every code. And then for those codes that you will be using, you need to go through these options and determine how you'd like them set up. So let's take a look a little more closely. This is my Tardy unexcused code. And this is how I have it set up to work with the plugin. It's an unexcused. I want this counted for the student's tardies. I do want the meeting time entry to be appended. Now, this is where the plugin would be configured to determine whether it's a clock in or a clock out entry to be appended on that meeting entry time. A clock in would be a plan B. A clock out would be a plan C. Okay, so think this is a tardy, plan B, it's a clock in. Early out, plan C, it's going to be a clock out. So I'm telling the attendance code is determining how that meeting time entry is getting written. I also want to use this code to print a hall pass, but I don't have to. I can uncheck that if I wish. I can include this code on the printing page where I see all of my attendance activity, that cumulative view. I want to see this code on this page. I also want to print out the total tardy count on the hall pass for this code because this particular code will add and accumulate tardies. And then I want to make sure that my comment appears on this when this code is used as well. So for this code, tardy unexcused, basically all of my options are enabled. Let's go take a look at a different code. And I want to show you my tardy. I'll show you tardy excuse because you saw that hall pass looked a little bit different. And the reason the hall pass looked a little different was because I didn't want the total count and I didn't want to comment on there because I'm not counting that against my students in their tardy accumulation. So I've left them unchecked. So that would make sense if you can go back to think about the way that hall pass looked. Neither the count nor the comment was associated with this code. Again, that's for my demonstration. You can choose how your district wants to use each code. Okay, questions here. I'm going to pause for a minute. On the attendance code setup, it's pretty straightforward and we have 6 options that you would determine for each code. Good, Brad, can I continue?
Yeah, looks like we can continue. Just keep an eye on time here.
Yeah,
Maybe
thank you.
Move to daily attendance.
I do need to move to daily attendance because I have a whole nother school to show you. I'm going to hurry up. Okay, so again, 2 areas for you to manage to main settings and then our attendance codes, plugin setup. Less than 30 minutes, honestly, to get that all set up and going. So this is a real like easy solution for you to get started with right away. And that's what we're hoping you will do with this particular plugin. Okay, so now I'm going to move away from Apple Grove High School because I want to show you how it works in a different school with some different configuration settings. So I'm going to move from Apple Grove over to Washington Elementary. Remember I told you Apple Grove, I was writing to the student's meeting record. That's exactly what I wanted to do because that's how that school was set up to record attendance. But in Washington Elementary, it's a little different. Their attendance preferences in PowerSchool dictate the need to record to the daily attendance record. So here we are in Washington Elementary. Almost everything is the same except where that attendance is being recorded. So let's go ahead and show you a little bit here. I'm going to navigate to my scan page in Washington Elementary. The only thing that's different here, how I navigate, is the link that I choose. So instead of a meeting option, I'm choosing a daily option. So let's go through this. And I'm going to, again, my quick link to bring us to the scan page. Again, I have a default code here. My default code is Tardy. And what I'm going to do the first time around, I'm going to scan my finger and let's watch how this responds. So, oh, sorry, scan my finger, but I didn't have my little box over here. My apologies. Okay, so now I'm going to scan my finger on here. Oops, my finger was not. There we go. So I'm going to send that ID number in. And the first thing that we're going to see is exactly what we saw on the meeting side. It's going to be my hall pass. Again, student's name, a date, and a timestamp. The class that's on the student's bell schedule at the time of the scan will present, but it's not writing there. Remember, we've selected daily attendance here. Attendance code and status. And 6, my friend Anthony has just made it to his 6th tardy, and his message on the hall pass will say that. So let's take a look. There's Anthony. Again, we have a printing page here. It shows cumulative attendance activity, just like the meeting page. So I can switch and sort in my daily attendance selection the same way I can in my meeting attendance. And I won't go into detail here since we did before, and I want to show you Anthony's record before we run out of time, before I turn into a pumpkin and Brian's going to tell me. I'm going to go into daily. Let's take a look at Anthony's record. Let's see how that recorded. But I hope what you're taking away here is this automation, right? I'm not writing a hall pass. I'm not clicking into a record. I'm not going into a time entry. Everything that's happening here is automatically done for you. So let's take a look at Anthony's record, and I'm going to show you how that was recorded. So here we are. Today is Thursday, right? The 18th, that's us. Take a look at how Anthony's record recorded. If you'll notice here, his daily record was recorded with a T for tardy, because that's the attendance code that was selected on the scan page for his scanning event. I'm going to open up this entry. He scanned in at 1:39. Notice what happened here. The clock in and the clock out fields were appended because that's how I chose to use and set up this particular code. The clock in time is going to show the time that the student scanned into the building, and the clock out time is going to automatically show the end of the day for the bell schedule. Nobody worry. 6 o'clock is not a normal end of day for a bell schedule, but I give demonstrations all over the world. So I have a super long day for demonstration purposes. So that clock out would really display a typical end of day for an elementary school, somewhere in the 3 o'clock time range. So clock in, again, the scan time, clock out is going to be the end of the day for the bell schedule. Let's reverse that for a minute, okay? If I had a student that was leaving early, remember I talked about that this particular plugin can be used for students that are coming in late and then also that are leaving early. If I had a student that was leaving early, the reverse would happen. The clock in time would be the start of the day for the bell schedule, and the clock out time would be his exit time. All right, so that's all done with the setup for your particular code. Let me scootle over here. All of the same things that we did to configure the plugin on the meeting side, we're also going to do on the daily side. So let me quickly take you through that. I'm going to go into attendance and I'm going to go into my link that's going to bring up my page. It's going to look identical, except my choices have changed from the meeting. I'm recording daily. My meeting is disabled. I have a default code. I've got all my scan page options configured, my print slip settings configured, and here are all of my messages that align with my tardy threshold. Again, looks the same, 400 characters to write the message that you want aligned with the threshold that's been reached.
How many tardies are available here?
50, Brian. There's 50 of them. Yep. All the way down. And I don't have all of mine filled in at this point because I don't have any league leaders right now. I don't have any heavy hitters in Washington Elementary School. So yeah, you have 50 of them, then you can write your message that aligns with the tardy threshold. And then I'll do a quick look and see here on those attendance codes. Again, the second place that gets configured for my tardy code that I just showed you. Same options that are appended to my attendance codes as I showed you on the meeting side, and I'm going to set them appropriately as I want this code to behave when used with the plugin. Okay. So I think I hit all of the points that I wanted to show you in terms of meeting and daily attendance. A district gets the plugin. Each school that's licensed can determine the way that their attendance recording method needs to be configured. About 30 minutes or less to set up your plugin, and you can get started right away, automatically recording attendance. Brian, what did I leave out? What questions came in? And what else can I add?
We do have some questions coming in. I think it's helpful to point out that majority of the time with this plugin, we're not going to be spending it in the settings page. That's a one and done kind of a thing, or once a year-ish.
Yep.
Majority of that time is going to be on that scan page.
Yeah, the scan page is that's where all the attendance recording happens. The plugin gets configured one time. You will need to, at the start of every year, you do need to adjust and make sure that all of your attendance codes are set. And when you do that, you will need to go and take a look at the attendance codes in the configuration setting page to be sure that they align with the way that they were in a previous year. But to Brian's point, configuration is once and done. Unless you want to adjust something, you will be working on this page. And this is the page that your attendance staff will have open and available to record attendance. This is what would be on the attendance staff or clerk or secretary's page every day.
Are we able to run through really quickly the student ID entry methods?
Sure. There's four of them. So the first one, and we're big fans, of course, of finger scan ID management for all the reasons, efficiency, streamline, accuracy, privacy. So you can use the finger scan option. The second way that you can enter an ID and from student's ID number into the plugin would be through a barcode and an ID card. So you would scan the card with the barcode and the ID would automatically be entered into that field. Third way, pin pad. Just have a pin pad attached to your laptop or desktop, and then you could have a student type facing the student and they could type their number in. And a fourth way would be someone would manually be typing into the keyboard that's associated with the computer into this particular field. So four main ways. If you want to learn more about the biometric finger scan option, please reach out and let us know. We can give you all the details and all the information you need to use that along with the plugin.
Thank you. Are there ways to use this Tardy solution for things like field trips?
Sure, absolutely. Remember what I said here previously, this can be used for late, it can be used for early dismissal. They're two real popular ways to use the plugin to record attendance. However, you can use this with any code that's part of your attendance bank. And as I showed you in the attendance code setup, you would just configure the code appropriately for how you want it to behave when used with the plugin. And there are schools that are using it for field trips. What's really nice is if you add the ability for that code to be viewed on the attendance activity page, then you can take a look at all those kids that went on a field trip and you know who's out of the building. So yes, lots of creative ways to use this based on what your requirements are.
Final question here. It's how do I obtain a quote for implementation at my school?
Oh, well, that is call Brian. You can, you can do. Go ahead, Brian. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you after this call, and we just have some clarifying information to follow up with, and we can get a quote right out to you. Both of you, yes, certainly. Yeah,
and a couple of things that I want to leave everybody with is this is a fantastic solution. All of those manual processes that you're working with right now, we can automate for you, but you're not just buying a premier product and a premier solution. You're joining a community here at identiMetrics because we are here to support your success and we're committed to it. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you're taking a look at, hey, how does this fit into the scheme of things? You're going to get a fantastic product and an amazing community. We good here with more? Do we have some more questions coming in, Brian?
One question was, can we share our website? Yes, let me reply in the chat here. It's identimetrics.net.
And any questions that anybody had, when you walk away from a demonstration, sometimes you think of things, in the middle of the night or whatever. Please reach out to us. We love to answer your questions. We're excited about bringing you, into the identiMetrics fold so that we can provide you, products and support that are going to streamline your school day and simplify it. So please reach out. We are here to help you and answer any of your questions.
And most of you would have received an email from me already, but you are also going to receive a follow-up email after this, probably later today, that will have both Tina and I's contact information if you have any of those questions.
Yeah. And thanks, everybody. I know it's so busy at the start of the second half of the year. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. And we both look forward to hearing from you. For the whole company, I speak for the whole company. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a wonderful
soon.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.